And so our journey continues, ladies and gents. I'm completely on board with trying to head towards Bone Mass and make an attempt to defeat him with everything I have with my current gear set, especially since the resources I may acquire after his death will result me in success in my next journey. My overall goal is to be able to build a house in the snow biome and be able to roam free without freezing. And in order to do that, I need silver. But unfortunately, in order to spot silver, I need a tool which can only be acquired after Bone Mass's death. What should we know about this creature, Bone Mass? That's the most important question we should be asking. All I know is that he belongs to the swamp biome, which I absolutely hate with passion. And although it is not the hardest biome in Valheim, the skill that is required to be fully functional in that environment is fairly experienced. I'd say I've leveled my combat level up on a very significant level, and my bow accuracy is better than it's ever been. But even with that being said, I don't think that's enough to go against him still, or I would struggle to say the very least. One thing I know for a fact, it rains a lot in swamp biome. Wetness results in stamina depletion and slow regeneration. Basically, just like I said, the environment is quite challenging there, and I must really prepare myself to withstand his home more so than ever. Perhaps he himself is not a challenge, not as much at least. His home, on the other hand, is. I have fought many enemies, and only a few of them were bosses. This one is by far the most challenging of them all. After spending some time looting and crafting a crap ton of flare arrows, I was finally convinced to take the leap of faith and explore parts of the ocean I've never explored before. After maneuvering through very tight spots around certain biomes, I managed to get to the deepest parts of the ocean and finally finding my way around to the winds of Bone Mass. Now, on my way over there, I was attacked by the sea creature, but with my current level, he was the least of my concerns. It's funny because looking back, even in my previous episode, these things were quite a challenge for me, and I used to be extremely terrified of them. Something I completely forgot to mention to you guys. After wrapping up my last episode, I did a little bit of grinding outside of recording, and I discovered a trader. And that's how I was able to just sell a crap ton of ingots and whatnot, and I managed to have a lot of gold setting aside. And I did not hesitate and spent a good chunk of it. One of the things I ended up buying was a head lantern, so that way I no longer need a torch. I also bought a fishing rod, which was my #1 priority in the first place. That way I can catch fish and use that for more advanced dishes and whatnot. And last but certainly not least, one item that I purchased from the trader was a Santa Claus hat, because Christmas is the thing here in the real world. Anyhow, after I located Bone Mass himself, I spent hours, and I mean hours, trying to defeat him with flame arrows. It was a challenge for sure, considering that he would also spawn bloaters and skeletons to piss me off even more. But on the good note, after defeating him what felt like an eternity, I finally discovered this thingy right here, which is #1 thing I came here for. Otherwise, I would probably not even bother with them, not now at least. And without any hesitation, I left my home to build another house in the mountains. But before that, I had to make sure that I got some silver in order to survive the cold weather. That way I would not rely on frost potion, because that's the only thing that's been really keeping me alive in these mountains. And I certainly need to come back to get more resources here, and you know, I'm kind of running short on resources and frost potions at this point. As promised, the whole purpose of this video is to build a shed in the mountains. Bone Mass is finally dealt with, and we now have access to the silver. Now, I can use wolf hide and make myself a wolf cape, which will keep me warm and cozy as I build my shed. Now, my very first shelter is basically trial and error. I'm not happy with it because it has some major issues, especially when it comes to the foundational design. It's very disproportionate. The roof is extremely hard to line up. Every time it rains, basically due to the lack of a stable roof, my building is constantly taking weather damage from the rain. I'm not getting rid of it. In fact, I'll still probably keep it as my main location, maybe. I can certainly guarantee you my next shed is going to be awesome. I already have floor design for it, and I think many of you will actually really enjoy it.
Help me see, how do I compare a different me? How do I compare? Can we let it be for just a little more? My mind is wide and aching at the core. Do we ever learn before it's too late? Why we keep falling, falling through aeons? Should I be leaning on each other all the way? Why we keep waiting, waiting for aeons, like time's been frozen, never too late. Ocean breeze blowing in your hair. Come to me, how do I compare? 'Cause this is our chance, the one we waited for. If you take my lead, it's you that I adore. Why don't we go high and trust in foolish hearts? It's why we keep falling, falling through aeons. We should be leaning on each other all the way. Why we keep waiting, waiting for aeons. Let's spin